Hey Cardfighters, Chris here from Vanguard Central bringing you a Venom Dancer Starvader deck. So our starter is the spawn of the Spiral Nebula. Mainly really good for this deck just because it locks your opponent's card without using Counterblast, and that's going to be a theme you're going to see throughout the deck. Just because Venom Dancer's skill costs Counterblast, and we want to save it for that because that's the most powerful effect in the deck. Stride Zone is going to be 2 Judgment Messiah. Very good for on-hit pressure. The deck doesn't really focus on striding a lot. It's mainly a Legion, and then stride once, then Legion. Get those GB effects active, and then just go for Legion all the time because Venom Dancer's effect is very, very powerful. We have 2 Big Crunch, partially because we haven't picked them up yet, and partially because you don't really need them. As I said, you mainly focus on the Legion, so unless you don't have a good Legion play, you're probably not going to be striding. But if you do, you could go into Big Crunch after Messiah to lock 2 and then get a really powerful Venom Dancer turn right after that because they obviously have 2 locked, which means you get 2 restands. Yay. We have 1 Nebula Dragon, Maximum Seal Dragon. This card's pretty funny. It's kind of just like Atmos, which we also have. Just giving some power turns if we need it, right? So if you really need that power stride, you can go for that because the deck doesn't stride a lot. And I actually have won a game with Maximum Seal Dragon. I had like 3 of my opponent's cards locked, which makes it better than Atmos at that point. So I went for Seal Dragon, couldn't guard it, got a crit or something, and finished the game that way. We have 1 Blizza, just in case for some unknown reason you do end up striding a lot. You can go for a power play late game after you push out all their perfect guards. And then we have 1 Amnesty. We need to run the 1 Amnesty because Link Joker is Link Joker's worst nightmare. If you don't have this in the Link Joker mirror match, you're gonna cry. So got that 1 Amnesty to secure that mirror match. For the grade 3s, we have 4 Venom Dancer, star of the show. He's gonna let you, both of his abilities are actually really, really good. So the first one, while he's in Legion, after he attacks, you can counterblast 1, and then you can stand as many rear guards as your opponent has locked cards. So you're gonna go for at least 2. 3, 4 is just like golden, but 2 is good enough. Things I really like about the ability is that it happens after you attack. So say your opponent gets a damage trigger, and it's not really worth counterblasting to restand a column. You don't have to do it. You can save it for later. Very, very good. And then the non-Legion effect is also super, super powerful. You just counterblast 1, you lock your opponent's back row. And that comes out before Generation Break, before Legion. So you're going to be able to get a little bit of control going on your opponent even before Legion, even before anything. And that's very, very important in today's metagame of people trying to grade 2 game and whatnot and stuff. So getting that early advantage can start snowballing you for later. We have 2 Hafnium. Hafnium basically serves as Venom Dancers 5 and 6. You just have more of the similar effects, right? So Hafnium is going to give units +5 when you attack. So instead of restanding some units, it's just going to make them stronger. So similar, yet a little bit different effect. And then he also has a similar ability where he can counterblast before Legion and lock your opponent's back row. So get that early control going. And the last grade 3 we have is Neutron Star, Lady Gunner of the Neutron Star. And this is where GB comes in to the deck. I think it's actually the only GB in the deck, but it's very, very powerful. Because like the starter, who also needs GB, oh, there we go. So the 4 GB cards in the deck, showing that stride isn't super necessary, but very useful because you get locks on your opponent without having to counterblast. And that's important because you want to save counterblast for Venom Dancer, both effects being able to lock to start up the chain, and then also get those multi-attacks off. For the grade 2s, we have 4 Photons. Super good, following in line with that theme of not needing to counterblast to get locks because we have a lot of other effects we want to use counterblast for. It also helps because then we can counterblast 1, say for Venom Dancer skill, lock a back row, and then call Photon, so we get that 2 lock that we really, really want for Venom Dancer's effect. Just to get a full column restand as opposed to just 1 front row restand. Changes the game a lot. We have 4 Colony Maker. This is probably like an MVP. Well, all the grade 2s are super strong, mainly these 2. Colony Maker is going to let you fill up your field. So say your opponent isn't really doing much to your field, and so like against the Shadow match is an example. I know they don't have a lot of field control, and I want to start pressuring them early, so I'm going to start focusing on Colony Maker to build up my field so I can get that pressure going. Again, uses Counterblast. It can be pretty hefty when you're trying to get everything to go off. But Colony Maker does require a locked unit, so that's another reason why Venom Dancer's non-Legion skill to lock cards is super powerful, because we can Counterblast one, lock their back row, lock their starter, say, and then use Colony Maker to set up your field even more. And so build that advantage, try to snowball it early. We have 2 mates for Venom Dancer. Really only used to Legion. The effect of it is okay. Adds a little bit of on-hit pressure, but not something I'm really concerned about. It's really only for the Legion. And then we have 1 Radon, which is the 12k attacker, and also the mate for Hafnium. This just lets you Legion with Hafnium. Probably not going to happen that much, and if it gets damaged and you get stuck with only Hafnium in hand, that's pretty rough, but hopefully you'll be able to stride and get your way out of it, heal your way out of it, things like that. Also much more useful than running more Sword Vipers in this spot and changing out Hafnium completely, because if you only manage to get 1 lock on your opponent, he's a good stand target for that first attack. Going into the grade 1s, we're running 4 Unflipping Perfect Guards. Again, Counterblast is pretty tight in this deck, so anything that we can do to free up our Counterblast helps a ton. We have 4 Volt Lines. Very, very good card with Venom Dancer, just because you can stand the column, you can attack him with Volt Line first, and then stand the column with Volt Line in it after you attack with Vanguard, and that's just going to keep that huge pressure up, because they're not going to want to guard, they're not going to let Volt Line hit, because they get so Omega Lock, and it just keeps up that assault of attacks. And Colony Maker just grabs Volt Line from the deck, right? So you're not even worried about having to draw into these, because you can just Colony Maker for them, which makes the deck very strong. That combined consistency for getting Volt Line, as well as the pressure it provides with Venom Dancer, is huge. And then we run 3 Neons. Sorry, 3 Neons. Finger's not doing what I tell them. 3 Neons. Just feel that 10k, that early rush. Also, you can call him as an attacker with Colony Maker if you want to get that early 3 attacks going, and you don't have much else in your hand. So that's very strong. And then we have 2 Destiny Dealer. This might be counterintuitive, as I said, the deck is more of a Legion focused deck, but it's a Legion focus where you want to stride first. So you want to get that first stride off and then go into Legion. So the Destiny Dealer is going to help us get that first stride, and then we don't have to worry about it later in the game. For the triggers, it's pretty standard. We have the 8 critical, 4 draw, and 4 heal. I like to return the heals with Legion just because it helps unflip some damage, keeps the game going longer, and your Legion plays can slowly overwhelm the opponent with the amount of attacks. Thanks for watching, and hope you guys liked the Venom Dancer deck profile we did. It's a very fun deck, probably my favorite Link Joker deck that I've played and tested with, just because Venom Dancer seems very powerful to me, and just the consistency in field setup and stuff. Please give us a comment down below. What do you think of the deck? Thoughts on Hafnium, something that I've been trying out to work well with Venom Dancer. Please give us a like, it helps out a lot, and subscribe for more content. Vanguard Central, out.